I always looked at you as a funny guy. I always laughed
Thank you.
watching Rich Eisen's highlights and
Okay.
things like that. Was that something that you ever wanted to
Oh,
try to
yeah.
do, or was it always sports broadcasting?
I did stand-up, Joey. Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
Yes, yes. It's
There's
terrifying.
nothing like it. It makes everything easier. The rest of your life and whatever endeavor you do, it's so much easier. So I did that at Michigan in college. I did stand-up comedy once a month at the student union for 3 years. My gosh, I loved it. God, I loved it. I even tried it professionally. Like I went on the road on weekends a couple of times and saw I was not cut out for that. I was not cut out for the.
Why not? Just in terms of your material or the life?
No, the life. I was not cut out for talking to 10 people. Honestly, I packed a house when I was a student comedian, is what we were called. We were student comics at the student union. It was the university club, and they would have student comics open up for real comedians who were paid by the student union to come in. The biggest name I opened up for was Tim Allen, who's, obviously got a big following in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
And but, it was packed houses. Like this has been the late 80s when stand-up comedy became red hot to the point where they even made like a Sally Field, Tom Hanks movie out of the endeavor. And people were waiting out the door. Like there were 500 people in a room that probably needed to fit less than that. So the energy was always huge when I did it in my comedy club on campus. But when you go out and you're opening up at 7 o'clock in the evening and there's 5 people there, like one hand clapping, and then a lot of the comedians that I would go out, I went out with were really competitive as well. They should be, and there was a lot of, revelry afterwards, and no one would laugh. They would all just look at that if you made a joke and nod their head and ask if you were going to use that. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm really cut out for doing this, but I always wanted to do that sort of stuff and always try to work it into whatever I do professionally, sports-wise. And always grew up watching late night hosts ply their craft, from Carson, Letterman. I miss Jon Stewart greatly. He's one of the best I've ever seen do it. Just natural conversation, listening, which is the tough thing about interviewing somebody.
Yeah.
So putting it all together, having that stand-up background for me has been huge.
Letterman was kind of in your coming of age time, right? Like when he was really hot, or was it more of Carson still, or both?
Well, I mean, I remember growing up, Johnny Carson would be on too late for me, at 11:30 at night. But I did, watch him towards, the last 10 years of his career. But Letterman obviously was the guy. I mean, I went to college in '86, and I think Dave started, in the early '80s doing his late night show. So Letterman for me is my guy. I mean, in terms of, his comedy and his philosophy of taking a joke, repeating it over and over again, and then beating it to death. Like, I love that style of comedy. I think it's hilarious.